Dan Bilzerian, the rise and fall of the king of Instagram. Even if you've never held a poker chip or placed a bet, the name Dan Bilzerian has likely crossed your radar. For years, he was the undisputed king of Instagram, a larger-than-life figure who embodied the ultimate Playboy fantasy. His feed was a never-ending spectacle of luxury yachts, sprawling mansions, fleets of supercars, an arsenal of weapons, and a rotating cast of stunning women. He was the modern-day Gatsby, a man who seemed to have it all: wealth, power, and the adoration of millions. But behind the glitz and glamour lay a carefully constructed illusion, one that has since crumbled, revealing a story of excess, deception, and ultimate downfall. The illusion of invincibility. Dan Bilzerian's rise to fame was meteoric. He cultivated an image of the ultimate alpha male, a man who lived life on his own terms, unapologetically indulging in every luxury imaginable. His Instagram feed was a masterclass in personal branding, a curated showcase of a lifestyle most could only dream of. But as the saying goes, all that glitters is not gold. And for Dan, the cracks in his golden facade began to show sooner than anyone could have predicted. In a now infamous tweet, Dan once declared, "Nothing feels better than winning when everyone is waiting to see you fail." Little did he know, those words would come back to haunt him. Over the past few months, Bilzerian has experienced a dramatic decline in his social media influence. He lost over 120,000 followers, with a record-breaking 5,419 unfollows in a single day on March 31st, 2024. In just 6 months, his subscriber count dropped by 60,326. This wasn't just a blow to his ego, it was a harbinger of the financial and legal turmoil that was about to engulf him. The House of Cards. Ignite's collapse. At the heart of Dan's empire was Ignite, a lifestyle brand that sold CBD products, energy drinks, and apparel. For a time, Ignite was the financial engine that fueled Dan's extravagant lifestyle. But as his social media influence waned, so did the company's fortunes. The stock price plummeted, leading to its eventual delisting from the stock exchange. To make matters worse, Bilzerian is now under investigation by the SEC for alleged financial misconduct, adding another layer of scandal to his already tarnished reputation. What many of Dan's followers didn't realize was that his lavish lifestyle was largely funded by Ignite, not his personal wealth. The multi-million-dollar mansion he frequently flaunted, rented for $2.4 million a year, the luxury cars, private jets, and over-the-top parties, all paid for by the company. Even the models who appeared in his photos were reportedly hired for $26,000 per event. In essence, Dan's empire was built on a house of cards, one that began to collapse as the truth came to light. The whistleblower, Curtis Heffernan. The first major crack in Dan's facade appeared when Curtis Heffernan, a former executive at Ignite, was wrongfully fired after exposing the company's questionable financial practices. According to a lawsuit, Dan used company funds to finance his personal indulgences, including $65,000 Star Wars-themed gun collection, $75,000 basketball court, $50,000 archery range, $500,000 yacht. In total, Ignite reportedly spent $900,000 to maintain Dan's image. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, the company's finances were already in freefall. Heffernan advised Dan to cut costs, including stopping the rental of a $200,000 per month mansion, since parties were no longer feasible. But Dan, ever the showman, doubled down. He continued to host lavish events, further draining the company's resources, and ultimately fired Heffernan under false pretenses, accusing him of drug use. The financial freefall. Despite Dan's public denials, multiple ex-employees came forward to corroborate Heffernan's claims. Financial reports painted a grim picture. Ignite lost $69 million in 2019, with only $9.7 million in revenue to offset the losses. By 2020, the company was still hemorrhaging money, with losses totaling $19.7 million. As media scrutiny intensified, it was revealed that Dan's father, Paul Bilzerian, a convicted financial fraudster, had been secretly involved in running Ignite. Paul had previously been fined $62 million by the SEC for fraud, but had only paid $3.7 million, claiming bankruptcy. The final blow. Facing mounting legal and financial pressure, Ignite removed itself from the stock market, effectively avoiding further scrutiny. In the months that followed, Dan largely disappeared from Instagram, posting sporadically and losing followers at an alarming rate. Speculation grew that he was going broke, and his once unstoppable brand began to fade into obscurity, reinventing himself. The Sigma Society. In a recent interview, Dan admitted that he was tired of social media, but rather than quietly stepping out of the spotlight, he's attempting to reinvent himself. Taking a page from Andrew Tate's playbook, Dan launched Sigma Society, a self-help business aimed at men. The platform sells books and courses on self-improvement, success, and masculinity. However, given Dan's track record, many skeptics view this as just another cash grab, a desperate attempt to stay relevant in a world that's rapidly moving on without him. The end of an era. Dan Bilzerian's story is a cautionary tale of hubris, excess, and the dangers of building an empire on a foundation of lies. For years, he captivated the world with his over-the-top lifestyle, but as the truth emerged, so did the cracks in his carefully constructed persona. The king of Instagram's reign has come to an end, and his empire has crumbled. What remains is a legacy of extravagance, scandal, and the sobering reminder that not everything is as it seems. So, what's next for Dan Bilzerian? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The era of the Instagram playboy is over, and the world is watching to see if Dan can rise from the ashes, or if he'll fade into obscurity, another cautionary tale in the age of social media. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the rise and fall of Dan Bilzerian, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to JohnnyAnVN for more gripping content.